Welcome to School Zone, the show all about your local school districts here in the White Mountains. I'm your host, John Larsen. Today we have two special guests, Brenda Willis, the program coordinator for Nexus Coalition Drug Prevention, and Show Police Department Officer Justin Butler here visiting with us. Welcome to the show, guys. I really appreciate you coming and visiting with us. Today we want to talk about vaping and the dangers associated with that. In particular, we want to talk about our, as it pertains to our teens in our schools. I really appreciate you being willing to come and visit with us about this. I think this is a really important topic, something that our teens are struggling a little bit with right now. And so first off, Brenda, if you would introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, and after you're done, Officer Butler, if you would please.
Okay, well, thank you for asking us to be here. So my name is Brenda Willis. Like you said, I work with Nexus Coalition for Drug Prevention, NCDP. And we go in the schools, we teach in the schools. I teach a class in Blue Ridge Junior High. It's called Empowered. Try to teach resiliency skills to the kids. And we go through the community and teach drug education. I do the diversion class for kids that get caught vaping. I do it's called an in-depth class for them. And we just do a lot of different things. We collaborate with a lot of different people in the community and
Great. Don't you also work with the teen court?
I do work with the teen court, yes.
Great, yes. Great. Do any of these vaping issues roll over into teen court, and do you deal with them there?
Yes. In fact, right now I have 9 kids from teen court that I'm doing the in-depth classes for.
Wow, 9 kids.
Yeah.
Great. Officer Butler, tell me about yourself.
I'm Officer Butler. I'm with Show Police Department. I'm currently a school resource officer for our junior high school here in Show. I've been an officer for about 6 years. I started my law enforcement career in Eager Police Department. Did a couple years there. I'm from Show originally, so I wanted to come back here and serve this community. So I came over here in about 2016 and have been here ever since. This is my first full year at the school. I did a semester last year, but this is my first full year at the school district. So,
great. Well, I appreciate you being here, and I want you both to know how much I appreciate your effort in this area. In particular, I have a junior high student who really loves you to death and is really appreciative of you being there, and so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for what you do for our youth. Brenda,
yes.
Give me an overview of vaping. I mean, I know we know what vaping is, but give us an overview a little bit about it.
An overview? Well, it came out about 9 years ago, and it was set up originally to help people quit smoking regular cigarettes, tobacco. And so
was it offered as an alternative to tobacco, as a healthier alternative?
Yeah, healthier because it doesn't have the tar in it. And so it was, to help them be able to wean themselves from the cigarettes, from the tar in the cigarettes.
Okay, so you guys brought some examples of these vaping instruments. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but would you share those with us? Tell us a little bit about them, please.
Sure. Want to show them what you got?
Yes. So these are kind of some of the most popular vape products that are on the market today. We're seeing a particular shift in it. Before it used to be kind of the Juul, which is this one here, was the most popular vape product among the youth. And it's very sleek and slim, easy to conceal, different things like that. They've kind of gone into this one here, which is an Enjoy. This one has got the charger built in and everything. This is the most popular one that we're seeing on campuses currently today. When kids are caught with them, it's more than likely this particular one that they have. So
okay, so how do these, like this just looks like a thing you plug into your computer and get, like you download your semester paper on or something.
Right. So each one's set up a little bit differently. It's just the way the product is. This particular one that we have here that looks more like a pen, if anything, this is an actual external charger. That's what this is. So you can actually plug this into a wall or a computer. You can charge it. It runs off a battery. That's what gets it to heat up and kind of vaporize the product that you have in there, and that's how it's inhaled.
So this is where the juice or chemicals fluid that they put in there, and then you would just puff on it.
Correct.
And as it vaporizes it, heats up and vaporizes.
Yes, this is the battery pack, if you will. This is where you put the product in that they're going to be using, and this is the mouthpiece to inhale that. And so each one's a little different how they're set up like that, but that's typically the standard things that you have in there is the actual vape juice is what the kids call it that's in there. You have a battery pack or source of some sorts, and then the mouthpiece is typically how most of them are set up.
So I understand that there's some of them that are compatible with being able to vape THC. Correct?
That is correct, yes. So some of these are set up.
Not all of them?
Not all of them are compatible with it, but there are some products, like this one in particular, can actually use the THC, and you can vape it just like you would with any other type of product out there, but it actually has the THC or marijuana content to it.
So when they're doing that product as opposed to the normal vaping product, we don't have any way to know. Is there a different, does it give off a different smell? Or they could be doing that and we would never know?
Mm-hmm. That does get kind of tough because yes, the THC has a particular smell, the marijuana has a particular odor, but the problem with the vape versus just your standard marijuana or something to that effect that you would come across is there's different chemicals and products in this that can sort of mask or kind of dampen that smell a little bit. So it's not impossible to smell it, but it may be a little more difficult in this as opposed to just a regular marijuana source or something to that effect.
My worry would be if parents are allowing their kids to vape, they might not know that smell. You know, they might not have ever dealt with it. I don't know how many people deal with that or not, but they may not know that that's actually what their kids are vaping or could be vaping.
Exactly, yeah, and that's kind of the issue with them and stuff is that, like we talked about before, it's easy to kind of more easy to mask it in this as opposed to just your standard marijuana that a child may consume. So, absolutely, that's a definite challenge for the parents, and just kind of even knowing what these look like because they change so often. There's different products, there's bigger sized ones. It's just kind of a challenge to even identify that it is a vape product to begin with.
So we know that a marijuana product would not be a healthy alternative, but are there other chemicals involved in this process that can cause us trouble?
Yes, there's formaldehyde, there's acetone, arsenic. And when I teach my in-depth class, the kids are really surprised. They're like, we thought there was just tobacco and nicotine, and they're surprised to find out that there are some of the same carcinogens that are in cigarettes that are in the vape pens and the ones that cause cancer, and they're really surprised by that.
Okay. So lately, I've been hearing a lot about some severe illnesses and even deaths that have been caused by certain chemicals. What's the chemical that they've narrowed it down to?
They narrowed it down to, well, they have 52 deaths as of December 10th. There was 52 deaths, and they have 2,400 people that have had the lung problems. And so I don't know if they've narrowed it down. They're still doing a lot of studies, but the one is the is it diacetyl? Can you pronounce that? Diacetyl?
Yeah, it's
vitamin E.
Yeah, it's vitamin E,
yeah,
right?
It's vitamin E. Yeah.
Basically liquidized vitamin E, and while vitamin E is good for you
to ingest,
to vaporize it and then inhale it in the lungs, we're finding is a completely different problem, right?
Yeah, it goes in
and actually causing deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like to, when I teach vaping classes to the kids and stuff, I like to have them kind of an analogy form is, just because something is good one way for us to expose ourselves to, it doesn't mean it's good in another way. We talk about water, for instance, if you consume it, you drink it and stuff, it's fine. If there's something inside of it that's toxic, it may not hurt us when we put it on our skin, but if we put it into our bodies, it may make us sick or something. So each thing has a potential to be harmful in one way. It's just kind of, unfortunately, with these things, we don't know until it kind of hits the market and stuff. If it's, it may be okay for us to touch it or to eat it, but not in a vapored sense. So that's kind of the problem with a lot of these things is we're finding out that we're learning that it's, hey, maybe not so healthy this way as opposed to the standard use for it. So.
Okay, and I understand one of the things that's drawing the kids to this is that there's various flavors, and I understand they even have favorite ones. What are the two favorite I think we talked about?
Yeah, the two favorite is mint and mango.
Mint and mango. Okay.
But they had, well, at one point, Jewel had about 15,000 flavors.
Really? 15,000 flavors. Wow.
And so, but I think they're getting rid of them.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
think they have to, but like I said, mint, and they're not getting rid of mint, and that is one of the favorites. And so, and then these, like this right here, this is a strawberry flavored. So there are still flavors out there.
So how many of our kids are involved in this? What are we looking at here?
The numbers that we have right now, as far as through the police department, the high school and the high school SRO have talked about it and come to a agreement this year that they will be giving citations and suspensions to anybody caught on campus with these. And since August, so since school has started this year, there's been 22 students cited for having vape products, either on school or on the bus or something to that effect. Okay. So those are just the ones that have been contacted and referred to law enforcement. Obviously, there's going to be some out there that haven't been caught yet, or whatever the case may be. So, but we have a 22 that have been actually cited through the high school, just Shola High School this year alone, this semester alone.
So when the police department cites them, what is the what are they doing? They're getting the ticket. They got to pay a fine, or
so we understand that with our youth, we want to work with them. We want them to, the number one goal is to educate them on good decision makings and informed decision makings. So when a student receives a citation, they have a couple of different options. The option that's most popular that we try to push for is for them to participate in teen court. It's a little different than a normal citation. If you get the normal citation, you go to court. You usually have to pay a fine and things like that. With the teen court process, they go to like a jury of their peers. It's a school program that's set up to where the prosecutors, all the different attorneys, the jury, all that is made up of teenage students. And they evaluate each and every case that comes in, and they assign a form of punishment, if you will, that's kind of fitting to what they think the crime was. A lot of times they'll have to write an essay or participate in teen court or community service, different things like that. That's more of a positive consequence for them, and a way where they can understand they made a mistake and try to move forward from it, rather than just hitting them with the book and putting them in jail or whatever the case may be. So it's definitely one of those education-based punishments that we're trying to do. Unfortunately, if it continues, it's a third or fourth or fifth offense for some people, then it does end up going to fines and possible detention time and different things like that. So.
And I understand that at school, since they've taken a hard line on this, we're seeing a 5-day suspension. And then a second offense is a 10-day suspension with the possibility of an extended, more severe long-term suspension?
Correct. So as it sits right now, the school has made a determination that since it's becoming a huge issue amongst our youth, is that they're trying to take a hard stance on it. Obviously, they want to educate them, but they also want them to know that this is not acceptable and not okay at our schools. We don't want this on campus and other kids exposed to it. So they are doing a 5-day suspension, and then second offense is a longer suspension with a review of a possible long-term suspension, which could be up to 180 days, which is the school year essentially.
Yeah, it takes them out of school. So let me ask, how are we noticing, aside from obviously catching them with the paraphernalia, how are we to know if our kids are vaping?
So, well, some of the signs for parents, because there is withdrawals, because nicotine is one of the most addicting drugs that's in there, and so some of the signs are irritability, not being able to sleep, not being able to focus, and so if you notice that your kids are, a little more stressed than usual, you might ask them questions. I think that's the most important thing, is for the parents to talk with their youth, ask them questions about it, and if they do catch them vaping, talk to them about it, ask them questions about it. Why do you vape? I know as parents we like to lecture. I'm the biggest one. Just ask my kids, but they turn us off as soon as we start lecturing and giving them all the information, all of our knowledge. They just shut us down. So just talk to them and have them, ask them questions, have them teach you, or tell you why they're using and how much, and so I think that's just important.
And I think a big thing too on top of that, the physical indications that you'll see is also, I think, a big thing to hit on too are these. These are pretty popular. Kids will actually just put these in their pockets. It's a device to charge it, and so they're not as they don't take as much effort to conceal these types of different things and stuff like that. So if a parent sees multiple USBs, different things like this that look a little odd, that might be an indication for them that there could be something else going on possibly as well, along with the actual physical signs, behavioral things.
So as a parent, you got to be attuned to your children and their behavior, and when you see something a little off kilter, you might, I suppose that could go for even illicit drug use and any other issues that children might be drinking or whatever that might be happening.
Absolutely.
So that's great advice. I appreciate it.
And when you have things that come out like vaping, if you don't know anything about it, like, educate yourself about it so you can't say, oh, my kid will never do that. Educate yourself so that you will know the signs or you will recognize the devices. I mean, the kids, even at school, there was a youth that dropped her vaping pen, and the teacher picked it up and handed it back to her. Here, you dropped your pen. And so we need to find out what they look like, and so that they're not concealing them from us.
I think maybe a good thing for parents to try to recall is when they were that age, and the things that they did, to pull the wool over their parents' eyes or whatever. I think we all did that to one form or level of another, and so I think that's really good advice for our parents to keep an eye out and be more involved in their children's lives. I'm worried about I'm worried about the health issues, obviously, that are associated with this, but I'm also worried about it causing them to be in a position where they lose a year of school. 5 days is bad enough. I mean, I know when I was sick, when I was in high school, 5 days put you behind a lot. 10 days would be, I couldn't even imagine 10 days, and then if we take a year from them, now we're talking that they've got to do some sort of an alternative program in order to not lose the entire year, and I'm worried about them being ostracized, because everybody will know, why they're out and everything. So what are some other preventative things that you haven't told us about already that we can do to help our kids? I think it's really important that we don't take a punitive approach as parents, spanking them or whatever whatever parents do to discipline their kids, as opposed to what you said, to talk to them and try to educate them, educate ourselves, let them know, what can we do to help them understand that this is really destructive behavior that, could affect their future, even to the point of we've had 52 deaths in this calendar year. What else can you share with us?
So something that we're trying to do as school resource officers is we have a curriculum set in place. It could be anywhere from 6 lessons to 8 lessons that we kind of talk about vaping and the different things, the different health risks with it, and what to expect if one is using it, and different things like that. And it's kind of nice because I get into the classrooms with the kids and talk with them about it and different things like that. And you can kind of see the ones that are interested in learning about it. They may be on the fence on, I've been approached and told to do this, and it kind of helps them say, oh, maybe I shouldn't do it, and different things like that. And I like it because when I'm in the schools face to face with the kids, they know me, they know my face, they tend to trust me a little more. And so I've had some come up to me and say, that was a good lesson, it kind of helped me understand everything. And there's even some that come up to me and say, hey, I'm having this problem, I need to talk to you about it. So I think, I guess what I'm saying is, once you start building that trust and that open communication with the students, they know you better, they trust you, and they feel like you can help them with their problems. And I think that goes a long way. It's just like kind of what we talked about, the scolding thing or the spanking thing. Sometimes it will shut people off. And I find the best approach I've had, at least the success I've had in talking with them about this, is just having that open communication where they feel like they can trust somebody, and they feel that we can actually get them the help they need if they are experiencing those issues. So just letting them know that we're there for them, and that even if they make a mistake or two, we're here to lift them back up and get them on the right track. And there's at no point where we can't, get some help for them,
That's
They
great.
should never feel lost. Yeah.
I appreciate that. It brings to my mind when I was in high school, we called the police officer, we called him the campus cop.
Yeah.
That's what we called him. And he to this day, I run into him occasionally, and he still is a good friend and was a positive influence. So I really appreciate that. Were you going to share something with us, Brenda?
I think that too. I do a curriculum, that in-depth class, and I think being able to talk with the youth, and the nice thing about my diversion class is they've already been caught, so they don't have to lie. We have honest conversations, and they know whatever they say at the diversion class stays there. And so that we build that trust up, and we can have those conversations with no judgment, and so they're open, and they're all all the youth have been very receptive, and their perception is that vaping is not harmful, and so by the time you get finished teaching them, they learn, and they comment on that, and I think that's the most education is the most beneficial.
Great. Well, I really appreciate. I was going to ask one more question. Are we talking to staff in the schools? Are we educating them too?
We are, absolutely. So we, Officer Tyrone, who's the high school SRO, we have a PowerPoint set up where we kind of have pictures of different vapes and what to expect, and different things like that. There's actually a lot of products where it's built into hoodies or built into different things where they actually have a vape product in their hoodie, and so we've educated the staff about that, what to kind of look for, some signs of because some students unfortunately have been caught doing it right in the middle of class when the teacher's in front of them lecturing them, and it's a challenge amongst some of the students to say, hey, can you do this in class and not get caught? And unfortunately, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So
I know we're having a lot of issues on the bus where it's a little more easy to hide behind the seat or whatever, but so they're actually challenging themselves.
Exactly. And so we kind of talk to the staff and say, hey, this is what they look like, this is some behavior that could go along with it, and different things like that. So they are aware of it, and it's actually helping a lot because the teachers are most of the ones that are actually seeing them do this.
Yeah, they're face to face.
Exactly, and reporting it.
They got the most face time with them. Yeah,
absolutely. So.
Well, I really appreciate you coming to visit. Brenda, you and I talked a little bit about the schools going with the suspensions and whatnot, and how you have a little bit more of an in-depth did you say a four class? Four class. We talked a little bit about maybe bringing that up with the school, and I'd be willing to go with you to meet with the superintendent, to have that meeting and visit with him and give that as another alternative, so that we're not maybe they don't miss as much school and with suspensions, those kind of things. So I really appreciate you coming. I was really excited to have this discussion. I've been trying to educate myself a little bit about it because I've got teenagers in the home right now, so I'm dealing with it like everybody else is dealing with it. And so I really appreciate you coming to visit. And hopefully we can maybe have you on a little bit later in the school year or next year, and we can revisit the subject and see how things are going.
Absolutely.
You willing to come back?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us here on the School Zone, and we'll see you again soon.